Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of William Asks Questions and uploads them to YouTube. I'm Tobias Hook. We got our host, William Keith Kellogg, and he is here to ask us interesting questions. We also have Karol here, and I'm really excited to do this episode with you guys. I'm already prepared with my coffee, and let's go.
You're a great host. No, but William is a host.
Yeah, William. And sorry, I said your name wrong. Huh?
It's okay. I'm just the simple person that comes to ask simple questions. That
The
smart
math
people,
brains like LICHO and I come
yeah,
along.
that the math brains can play around with, right?
All right. So, you were asking Monero versus Bitcoin.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
that was not the question. The question was, why is Bitcoin not private?
well, Bitcoin is not
Wasn't?
private because every transaction links to the previous one. I mean, you said rightly that like it's pseudonymous, right? Like if you have a generated, you can generate any address you want. Okay, well, that's you can generate a new address at will, right? And so you can kind of make it harder to trace what's going on, but it fundamentally is very traceable because you can see exactly how Satoshis flow and how they don't flow. So that's what I was meaning there. We don't really disagree there. We probably disagree on if it's something that we should focus on or something that we should focus less on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, let me explain why I'm not a fan of Monero, basically. Because basically, I mean, my argument is kind of backwards, right? It's like Monero. Here is my syllogism. Monero is shitty, right? Monero is trying to achieve privacy. Therefore, achieving privacy is kind of because Monero is the best game in town, right? The most developers, the most everything. Therefore, achieving privacy is really, really hard. Privacy isn't like that that important for a blockchain, like within the blockchain world. Therefore, it's not a good thing to spend too much time on. That's basically my argument. But if you find a primitive, like, hey, we discovered it, right? We now have the super private blockchain where everything is untraceable. It has no, like, it has very few trade-offs. Then I'm cool with that, but I just don't see that. That making sense?
yeah. LICHO,
Mm,
what about yourself?
yeah, we can agree on the facts here that Bitcoin is indeed traceable, uh, but it's mostly traceable because many addresses are already KYC'd, and if you're buying your Bitcoins from an exchange, then you give them all of your data, and they know who you are from the beginning.
Yep.
But if you accept Bitcoin as payment for like anything, and it
Or a coffee.
and your data doesn't uh, enter the knowledge um, of those that are looking, right? If you're just trading, I mean, if all of the trades were happening peer to peer, like literally, mm, with no, you know, with no KYC stuffed on practically every step around, because right now we know that almost all of transactions are happening between people and exchanges, right?
Yeah.
There's very little to no
Yeah, so basically,
real
Liho, basically
markets.
the argument is that since since every crypto transaction is basically from like between exchanges, it's all KYC'd, and therefore you really don't have privacy on Bitcoin-like blockchains. But if we were to use crypto in real commerce, there wouldn't be like this this automatic like leaking of KYC. And also, like if you take coins that are KYC'd, then it makes it more likely for someone to trace where they came from.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
totally agree.
They
Like
just have
I'm in favor
enormous
of
amount.
using it in commerce and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just an enormous amount of KYC bitcoins
Yeah.
around, and when you go to like a local shop, local like 7-Eleven, and you pay with Bitcoin, then you don't need to give any data to anyone. You just give them cash, right? Let's say it's an electronic cash, and that's it. And the traces, I mean, without this amount of data that they have, they wouldn't be able to trace it so easily. Um, so the pseudonymity would be much better in general, right? For everyone. Like if Bitcoin
Compared
was
to
used
compared to
the way
Monero.
it was designed to be, right?
You mean it would be much better compared? Oh, no. I mean compared. This pseudonymity would in practice be much better than what we have now if
Yeah,
everybody used it in commerce. Yeah.
yeah.
100%. No, I agree 100%. Um, but recently, so here's a little so first of all, yeah, I agree. Like if we started to use crypto in commerce, and when it is really interesting because did you guys know that Venezuela has like a 50% crypto penetration rate, right? This just started just the last few years. And just the last few years, they have a really high crypto penetration rate. So mainly like 50% of stores basically accept Tether or something. Um, but they accept it, and this is going to break your heart. They accept it through Binance. So
Ah,
Binance to Binance
yes.
transfer.
It's
And
heartbreaking. It's absolutely
and there's
heartbreaking.
two reasons for that. One, we totally agree on, is that with no, I mean we both agree on both of them. One is just scaling, right? Because like there's no blockchain where you can send Tether cheaply, right? I mean there's Solana, but Solana breaks all the time, so you can't really use it, right? You can't build a
I mean,
business on that.
TRX is quite cheap. TRX is quite cheap.
Oh, it costs like $1 each transaction, and for a Venezuelan, that's
Oh,
basically like a
is that?
meal. It's
Oh
quite
wow.
expensive
Wow.
these days. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
had like,
consistent, but it's pretty expensive.
oh no, I had like outdated knowledge.
Mm. Maybe it's also just my wallet, but my Tether wallet doesn't allow me to change the rate. So, but probably probably it has a good estimator or something. Um, but yeah, so that's one thing, and the other thing, that's probably the biggest one to be honest. The other one is that it's easy to off ramp, right? You can just take it and maybe you can keep it in Binance, but you can also move it to a bank account in Venezuela if that exists.
Yeah.
And all these things. So and these are the two things that we want to fix, right? So I'm there with you there. But it's really interesting in places where like where you would think this financial privacy matters really much. Um, the governments like Iran or Venezuela and so forth, they just um, they just don't care about crypto, right? It's they almost cooperate with it. I mean, of course, you could say, oh, that's because like the U.S. government is so strong and the Iran and Venezuelan government are so weak, right? But it's still interesting that those governments that are like seen as the worst governments, kind of from U.S. perspective, they're the ones that are like the most crypto friendly. And
I
yeah,
mean,
so
are they really weak? I mean, they're weak on
yeah,
the
right.
international scale. If they were like really weak, they wouldn't be um,
If they were
countries
so
anymore.
weak, people wouldn't eat dogs from the zoo, right? Or like animals from the zoo.
I mean, the like the conditions in which the people live has nothing to do with the strength of the government.
Mm.
Like everyone in Poland was furious about our government for like eternity, but as a matter of fact, they, I mean, mm, well, it is an independent country. If a country is actually weak, it's not no longer it. I mean, it turns dependent, right? It turns it gets conquered, right? So like there are no poor countries, there are only poor citizens, right?
Yeah, I mean, unless you view, but that's a different debate. But yeah,
Yeah.
but William, to answer your why I have this position. So there's also was another thing. So Cyprian Vinamani, right? Like Karol, you remember him? He did this project where he basically fully used the traceability of the blockchain and basically used it as a record keeping mechanism for the government. So not in order to like expose citizens, but to make sure the government is kept transparent. And I think this is a really, really good use case for crypto, is where you use this traceability, not in order to do something bad or something, but in order to allow the citizens and other government institutions to ensure that everything the government does is well and good, right? So what Vin did is he built this Feeding Marianas program, right? So they have a food stamps program in America, but it's notorious for being like super scammy, right? Like money, like the money just I don't know, it just disappears basically.
Yeah.
And it was really bad in Saipan apparently. And like the downside is that like you get all these grants, you get all this money, but then the people are still hungry, right? So that's like the worst of the worst of both, right? So you think you're solving the problems, like, oh, look how much money we spent, and then it just never gets to the people. And now with blockchain, what they were doing is that basically the any citizen or like anyone on the island, they can collect the food they have and give it to the collection place. And what they then do is they mint tokens for this particular fruit. Right, so there's one eCash token right on the blockchain, right? There's one eCash token for avocado, there's one eCash token for dragon fruit, there's one eCash token for eggs, right? There's like all these tokens on the eCash blockchain right now. And whenever you give up these fruits, you get this token, and then later, when you want to cash in that, you burn these tokens and get USDFM. This is not a real stablecoin. This is just like a marker. And then later, when you go to the authorities, you can burn the USDFM and get your check, right? So this is a very how would you say? It basically makes this whole food stamps thing traceable, and it does another thing as well. It allows normal citizens to be providers of that food, right? So your fellow island dwellers, they can help you feed, and you get paid, but you don't get paid from the consumers of the food. You get paid from a food stamps program. Right, so it makes it these programs exist anyway, right? It's the US government, right? They're a little ridiculous. But while we have these programs, it might just as well be good to use it to make these less corrupt and stuff like that. Does that kind of make sense? Like the program, if you guys want, I can show a few transactions, but yeah, that's that.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah. It's using the traceability to the advantage of the people. But why would the government want to participate in something like this if they,
Well, because in this case, they're kind of forced because they got caught red-handed. It's like, oops, we cheated, and then people are mad, are real mad, trademark, and then you need to find a solution, right? Like it's not like like Carol, you and I, we stopped thinking black and white a while ago, and now I'm like, okay, well, it's always like, especially with the government, that you never have like this pure good government, but
Mm.
like you very rarely have like this pure evil government. There are a few. I think North Korea is doing a pretty good job. Maybe now they're actually a little bit better, but in some periods of time they were like just like straight up evil. But I don't think the American government is just like smack evil. They're somewhere in the middle, and
Yeah.
sometimes it moves a little bit more towards the good side. So like the reason for them to do this is just because it's the best option.
Yeah. Yeah. uh and yeah, that's a smart idea to use it. Uh I mean, take advantage of this traceability.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think about like being traced for what you I mean, for what you purchase, or even having your wealth publicly known to anyone? Doesn't that put
So
you at risk?
so
Uh,
just to show that real quick, because I'm just fascinated by this. So here you actually see a dragon fruit transaction. So this is a dragon fruit token. You can trade it, you know, it's there, but it's not meant to be traded. It's like you create it, and then you can see it's spent already, but it is spent in a oh, here it's, I think, just a cent, and then later, yeah, boom, you can see there's a multi-e token transaction, and it just puts all these tokens in here. You can see there's breadfruit, there's avocado. Don't ask me why avocado is not uppercased. I don't know. We got dragon fruit, we got watermelon, pineapple, taro, sweet potato, banana, and egg dozen. Um,
it's
and
so
you can
so ju- it's just the people who make those tokens.
what do you mean?
It's just the people that make those tokens.
The people, what, I'm not sure what you
I
mean.
mean,
Sorry.
those. I mean, who controls what tokens are being created?
Oh, it's the supervisor of the program.
Yeah,
So
so
there's
they
there-
can
there's a
still scam it.
yeah, yeah, of course, but
Yeah,
that would be
so how is
it would
that
be
better?
transparent. Yeah. Well, it would be transparent because then at least you know who it went to, right? Because the problem that it solves is the record keeping, right? So of course it doesn't solve this problem that someone could make up stuff, but now they actually have to be much more sophisticated. And also most of the fraud occurs when, I mean, also like someone could just enter into the app. It's like, oh, but the good thing is you have this trace, right? You immediately have this trace. You have it timestamped, right? You know exactly what. I mean, not exactly, but like, you know it within the precision of 10 minutes, on average. You created this, and if someone cheats, you can see, oh, here's the transaction, right? Like, why, and cheating usually is consistent, right? It's like, hey, we have the trace on the blockchain, and we saw this wasn't, I don't know, £5 or whatever. So and you know the address of the guy, right? So that's like, it's not a perfect solution, of course. Like you can still cheat, but you have the trace of everything, right? It's like a really really sophisticated Excel sheet that traces everything. That kind of making sense?
Yeah, but why is it in an Excel sheet?
Oh, I mean, it's just an analogy, right? Like an Excel sheet
Uh,
is like where you put your accounting numbers
I
in.
mean,
It's like,
yeah,
okay,
but it could have been made in an Excel sheet. Why not?
why not make an Excel sheet? Because
Yeah.
you don't get the edit history that is also proof of work time stamped.
Mm, I don't know. It sounds really Orwellian for me in general. Like having all of my purchases public. Like, they
Oh,
can
but
figure
I
out
mean,
who I am, and like I'm like, you know, I don't want people to know what I eat. I don't want them to know my habits. I don't want them to know my, mm, you know, um, like what I like, because that's creepy. That's really creepy.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I mean,
that's your entire.
for
That's
me,
your
it's like
entire.
either I live on a farm and don't leak any info on the internet. Because at this point, we know like the NSA and stuff, they're like so deep in like even the chip, the Intel, what's it called? The Intel management, what is it called? Intel management engine or something in
Yeah, I
the.
remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're basically saying the old argument against privacy that you already don't have it, so why
Yeah.
struggle to have it,
Yeah, why
right?
spend so much time on it? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Really
disagree
low
with that
ROI.
on a deep level. I disagree with that on a deep level.
Yeah.
I think it's a worthy goal to have it, and like giving it away is just a bad move. It's just like willingly not caring about it, making everything public, like NSA. Okay, but but they don't have. I mean, now you have all your shopping receipts public on the internet. That's terrible. That's terrifying. That's really terrifying. And the worst thing, it's the most vulnerable people in the society, right? They are on the food stamps. They're being watched. They're being profiled. Their data can be, mined.
No, this is not.
Uh,
This system is not for the consumers of, as far as I understand, of
no,
the. Uh,
those are not there.
this is for the producers and the so they get the money. But I have to look into it a little bit more to because I'm not 100% sure. But as far as I understand it, it traces the producers yeah, but I mean, here's another argument, and I really I heard this argument recently because you're like, because I think, I mean, like I think getting privacy is extremely difficult, and it will become more and more difficult as time moves on, and we just have to make a choice at some point, and just saying like, oh, I don't like it. I think we should still try to get privacy and so forth. Yeah, I get it, but then, why are we on Zoom, right? Like, why are we doing all this? Of course we should, like, if things being equal, right, we should still do it. And also, like, it's pretty ridiculous how, like, for example, section 230, I just had this realization recently. That this section, like, it always is, oh, like, this is so important for internet freedom of speech and so forth, that like platforms aren't publishers. But I realized that this actually centralizes the internet extremely, because then suddenly these big companies, they can do whatever they want, right? But if they were considered publishers, then we would move to decentralized approaches basically immediately, right? Because it's interesting, the internet actually started decentralized. It started as like Usenet was decentralized. We had RSS feeds. Nobody uses RSS feeds anymore, but they're like a
I
really
use
decentralized.
RSS feeds. I even added them to Ergon blog.
Okay,
Ergon
okay.
blog is on.
I don't know other than Karol who uses RSS feeds. William,
All
do you
the
use it?
podcasts have. I mean, it's the main way of sharing a podcast. Like independent podcasts
Yeah,
are
yeah.
all have
But
publishing through RSS. Um,
yeah,
mm,
but my point is, like, I don't know many people who use it, right? It's like much more common to use Spotify or the podcasts app and so forth, or YouTube and so forth.
when
Um,
you go to Google Discover, that's all data fetched through RSS. I mean, like when you like open your browser on the, I mean, not browser but Google app, like the one, like on
mhm.
Android, you have like this bar with a search. You click on it, and there's the Discover tab, and then you have like articles from the internet, like what
Mm.
might interest you, right? That's all fetched through an RSS, and there are trackers, like if you want your website to be discoverable this way, Then you go to Google and you submit your RSS endpoint.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean also the if you like, for example, the IP protocol, TCP, and so forth, these
Yeah,
are actually like
they are decentralized. Yeah,
like really decentralized protocols to some extent, and the internet was designed to be decentralized, right?
yeah,
Um, and kind of private, to be honest. Like the fact that you can just have a direct communication between two machines, and you can encrypt it and everything. So I'm not saying that like we shouldn't strive for the most privacy that we can get. It's just that it seems like a total uphill battle because the powers they like it there just seems like this inherently unprivacy and people, and also Karol, something that I notice is that most people just don't care about privacy, and it's really hard to build a product if people don't care about it, right? So
yeah,
and this traceability, we already see that we can like use this for good products. And also here's another thing, like, and I recently had this realization. Um, let's say we do live in this future where every single transaction is traceable, and maybe even traceable to the person, right? But it's publicly traceable, right? Like everybody knows about every single purchase. You might be like, oh no, isn't that a horrible future?
yeah.
Um,
It is.
but I'm not like I don't like I'm not convinced, because like if every single purchase is traceable by everyone, um, like if you use it in commerce, like let's say I buy groceries right now, and they see, okay, I buy eggs, I buy cheese, I buy bread, I buy meat, like
And you buy condoms.
no, I don't. But
Well, I mean, you don't, but
what
like,
if what if I
let's say
did?
you
What
do.
if I did? What if I did?
I
Yeah,
mean,
then what?
depends on your status. If you
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I mean, you know, uh, it's like what the privacy people say, like the metadata. They don't know what you've been talking to your to the. I mean, they don't know what you've been talking about to your. HIV diagnosis center. They don't know what you've been talking about, right?
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
were talking to an HIV diagnosis center.
Yeah, but that
Okay.
result isn't on the blockchain. The purchase is on there,
Yeah, the
and
purchase is on the block. You paid for
but
a
like
test of for HIV, right?
yeah,
And
and
I mean, some things are, cause how do you say it in English? Like, there are some things that are stigmatized in the society. You buy
yeah, but
the
don't you
wrong
see
things and you get
how
stigmatized. That's
how
harmful for you to get stigmatized, right? Right?
but don't you see how if this stuff is transparent, how this would change the culture, right? Because suddenly, if everything is transparent, you would have a totally different culture. I don't know exactly how it would look like. Either like there's basically two possibilities, and I think both will exist simultaneously. You will have some parts of people who are like holier than thou, is like, oh, I can't believe he bought condoms or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then people will be like, oh, I'm so sorry, and the other ones will be like, well, I'm not here to judge, because like these 5,000 other people just in the last second bought condoms. Why? Who am I to judge, right?
Yeah, or
And
it would be like that people who do the things that get stigmatized would then not like seek help. For instance, mentally ill people would be afraid to go to a doctor because everyone would see they paid for a visit at a psychiatrist office, right? So say they would be too afraid to even go to get help.
I mean, you don't know that, because like one other thing is that if everything is transparent, then
I
you
mean, I
suddenly
know
have
how it
all
looks
this.
like in our society that some people won't go to a psychiatrist in fearing that someone will learn
Or judge
about
them
it,
for it. Yeah, yeah.
and judge them for it. And some people, knows that it will be in the. I mean, it will be in your medical records, and no doctor will ever treat you seriously again. Like, you are diagnosed with I don't know, depression, and then when you go to the doctor and you say you have a headache, they will say, well, you're probably imagining something because I see you were treated for mental disease, right? So
Yeah.
you're then always treated as mental, and you never get decent help again, right? So
But
people are afraid
this
of
is
this.
like the thing is that the stigma has been much worse in the past, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were a mental case, and we have one mental case here with us, William. No, then you then and but I don't treat people who have mental issues. I don't treat them badly. I mean, unless they treat me badly, right? Like I have a friend. He had huge mental issues, and I was always nice to him until he wasn't nice to me, right? So I can't like I can only withstand so much. But in my opinion, uh, I think it will be a hugely I think there can be a hugely destigmatizing effect that will just continue through society, and like also you have to keep in mind this will not be like a rapid change where like suddenly everything is public or something. And yeah, and it's the same with with social media, right? Like people put their entire life. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. People. Some people put their entire life on social media. They do it out of vanity, right? They don't do it because of any big advantage other than that. But still, somehow, society just keeps going along, right? Like, why aren't there's like huge downstream negative effects? And of course, most of that is fake. Most of what people put online is fake. But then what we would see on the blockchain would be real, right? Because like you can see the transactions and so forth. And also because you just said that, Karol, like if there's some stuff on the blockchain and you can trace it, then one advantage is that people can actually start to help you, right? Like let's say you buy a certain product and you as a person know that that product is harmful. You can actually I mean and it depends. You kind of need something like stamp or something. You can actually message the people. You can advertise to that person, be like, hey, this product that you have is harmful or something, and here's the stuff. So I'm not here to immediately like I'm not saying that I'm convinced of this position, but this is just a position that I recently heard. Like, what if everything was like all economic activity on the blockchain was transparent? It would also be extremely helpful for like the economic calculation problem would become like much easier to solve, right? Because you immediately have all prices transparent, right? Like in the ancient world, there wasn't really like a market, like there wasn't market prices because everything was so far apart, right? But with if you have all these prices and so forth, you get all this like basically you democratize. This data is collected anyway, right? Like if you purchase something, it's via your card, it's collected. And if you purchase anything with anything other than cash, the data is collected. But if you have it on the blockchain, but it's collected privately. But if you have it on the blockchain, it's available for the people, right? For the greater population, and anybody can write inferences and so forth based on that. And I'm not sure. Like, I mean, you could say, "Oh, this sounds super scary," and maybe there's something that I'm overlooking, but that's why I'm putting it out there. And you made an interesting case. It's like, hey, what about stigma? What about this stuff? I think that like it's a give and take, right? Like if you have this new mechanism, it will influence culture. So for example, we see this is actually kind of crazy if you think about it. In Norway, every income is public, right? Like you see how much money every person in the entire society, you can look it up. You see how much money your neighbor makes. You see how much money this and that, or all these people make. And you
Guys,
don't really.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to go for a moment. Maybe you guys talk
Yeah,
for a
I
bit.
also need to go soon, but I think we covered the space quite a bit. William,
Yeah.
what do you want to say?
Oh, you gotta go? Sorry.
Yeah. Bye bye. Yeah. All right, William,
Yeah.
I think it's also good if I go, but yeah, I made a pretty radical case, something that is not something that you ever hear, basically ever.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
amazing. That was a great case.
and I'm not 100% sure about this, but this is just something that someone recently told me. You just suddenly have all like you just see the entire economy, right? You just see everything, but everyone sees it, right?
Yeah.
And the alternative, in my opinion, is that only the government sees it, or like these big corporations that are basically indistinguishable from the government. Um, and it's still opt-in, right? Like you can still live on a farm and live off your own produce and stuff. You can still trade gold directly or cash. I'm not against cash or anything like that. I'm just aware that like these technologies are I don't think they're gonna leave us, and I don't think they have this move. I don't think we have this move towards privacy at all. So I'm just like, why not embrace it and see what the downstream effects are? That kind of making sense?
Just embrace the privacy.
No, just embrace the transparency.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
And just think about how would society look different. I think it would be a much more moral society, I think, because you think twice about everything you do. Um, and also, here's another thing. I mean, maybe my perspective is just different because I believe in God, and I know God has every trace. Like He has the entire blockchain of my existence.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's already not private to me, to another guy, right?
Yeah.
So you know,
Yeah,
I don't
Monero
think it's
is like it is kind of like hiding from God.
kind of right. But I like again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have privacy. I'm just saying like, is it really that bad if we don't have it? And for Monero, my case is actually a technical case. I don't like Monero and user experience case because it just has terrible technical properties. So first of all, I just showed you how like I right now I have like $100, no, maybe a little bit less, like something between $10 and $100 of Monero, and it's unavailable. I can't use it. Like you see, I have to wait for this bar to fill. I tried to buy a coffee with this app once,
Yeah.
and it didn't work. And this is one of the most user-friendly Monero wallets, I guess. Maybe there's a better one. I don't know. This is designed to be like it looks user-friendly and stuff. And why is it so hard to use then? Um, and the other thing is that Monero is fundamentally unscalable because in Bitcoin you have the UTXO set, right? Like all the coins that are available.
Yep.
Monero you don't have that. You have a transaction outset, right? So every single transaction you make increases all the data you have to store in order to validate transactions.
Oh.
And if you don't do that, you can't verify, like you're just guessing, right? You can't actually verify these transactions.
Oh.
And this scales with the number of transactions. The UTXO set just scales with the number of users, right? It doesn't scale with like the entire history of everything ever.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm like, I don't like Monero. Everybody who tried to sell it on me, like I couldn't, like, I don't know, it just isn't that good of a product. And if you're a Monero developer, I don't know, just don't be offended, do better, right? Like just I don't like this. This is not a good user experience. And maybe I just revealed my Monero publicly, but I don't care. It's just $10 or something. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
that's that. Yeah, that making sense? You feeling better now? Are you still sad?
Better makes sense. Yes. 100%.
But yeah, I think this is a good roundup. I think we had a really high content. Like there was a lot of data in here.
Yeah.
Make sure to put it all on the blockchain. And
Yeah, I will.
because there's also the dark side of privacy is people like pedophiles. And this is not just like this is actually a huge problem in society right now. I don't know where this like if you follow Alex Rosen, I follow him on Twitter, and he's like a hunter, right? and you know, there's a lot of privacy technology that they use, and so like the real ones. A lot of them use Telegram apparently, which, you know, I'm a fan of Telegram and everything, but it's just something that we need to be aware of, that like we don't, like, in my opinion, I don't want to build technology that just predominantly helps people to do bad stuff. I don't know. I mean, I do it a little bit, right? Like, for example, the product I'm building right now, Pay to Stay, is like half of it is for people to do gambling. But on the other hand, it helps them to do gambling without getting like exploited by the cartel, right? So at least we don't get the cartel anymore. And so yeah, that's that. I think, you know, I think I'm not opposed to privacy. I'm just not like, hey, let's go like crazy uh and I don't know, have this shitty user experience and work so much on that. While we have these cards, right? These crypto cards that I built. They're very traceable, right? Extremely traceable, but they're also super easy to use. So yeah, that's basically my case.
That's solid.
So that's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell, enable notifications, subscribe to our RSS feed, join our email list, take part of the raffle. William is raffling away his iPhone. No, he isn't. And yeah, and join our Discord and everything like that. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you.
Talk to you guys later. Bye bye.
See ya.